Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ultimate Job Search and Career Podcast. I am Bill, the company's expert, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to do public speaking like a boss. This is the first in a 2-episode series about how to do public speaking. And this relates directly to your career because if you want to improve on your career prospects and enable yourself to rise higher into more elevated roles, the number one thing you can do is to improve on your soft skills. And of the various soft skills, this is one of the more important ones, public speaking. So we're going to get into it today. Now, in this episode, I'm going to cover the theory behind it, basically what to say. And then in the next episode, I'm going to cover how to say it, my practical recommendations for how to do this. So let's get into it. Now, if you want to go deeper into this, there is a book that I recommend, a very old book, but it's tried and true, and it's very popular. It's by Dale Carnegie, and it's called The Quick and Easy Way to Effective Speaking. Okay, The Quick and Easy Way to Effective Speaking. And the vast majority of what I'm going to be saying in this episode comes from this book, or is found in this book. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, if you want to do public speaking, this could be in the context of a corporate environment, or it could be a recreational environment, or it could be an educational environment. We understand human nature, and there is a way to get through to people and have them be engaged. And there are ways that are less effective for engaging people. So the first thing that people latch onto when we come to talking about what to say is we need to entertain, okay? I don't care if you're giving a lecture about nuclear physics or quantum mechanics, you still need to entertain to a degree, because let me tell you, after half an hour of something that is completely unentertaining, most people, including the most technically minded of all of us, begin to tune out, okay? And if someone is daydreaming and not listening to what you're saying and you're not really resonating with them, it's ineffective, okay? It's ineffective in multiple ways. So you need to entertain, and something that really, really helps in a very general sense to make anything come alive is stories. Using stories and not theory, okay? People respond to that. So how do we do that? How do we tell stories? Well, you use names, okay? And you talk about the 5 whys and the 1 H, meaning who, what, where, why, when, and how, okay? That's, the way to get a story in there. And use dialogue quotes, okay? What people said, and specific objects, okay? Not generalities, okay? People respond to stories. So as much as possible, that is something that's good to say. That will engage people all the better when everything else is equal, okay? You need to be interested, you need to be passionate, and you need to believe in what you are speaking about, okay? So if you're going to give a talk on something, those are considerable boons, and you should shoot for that, okay? We often have a choice in how we present material, and this is an excellent approach that will give you much more favorable results. People are most interested in themselves, okay? So the key is to find commonality with people, okay? How do you relate to the topic in question, okay? You need to relate the topic to your audience and in terms of their goals or their problems, okay? If you can do this, people will be much, much more interested in what you have to say. Instead of launching into some dry topic, you tie it to your audience, okay? And you need audience participation. A lot of people are afraid of this. It's kind of intimidating. It's actually a lot easier than you think, okay? You can throw out a question. You can ask people to do something, to raise their hand, or to shout out suggestions or ideas or questions or whatever. But some form of audience participation will amplify how people are engaged in what you're saying, okay? You can use an individual or a subgroup from the audience to help you illustrate points, okay? This is something you can do. If you can weave this in, the talk you will give will be much more effective. Now, continuing on with the theory here, how can I put this? There are 3 types of talks that we can give. Okay, we can, number 1, we can inform people. Number 2, we can entertain people. And number 3, we can persuade people. Okay, so I'm going to focus here on how to persuade people, because if we are teaching someone or we are giving a talk in a business context, a lot of the time we are going to be trying to persuade people of something, okay? If it's either to agree with your point of view or to propose if you're putting forth a proposal or something and you want people to agree with you and come with you on your assertion, this is probably the most useful form of talk in a business context. So that's what I'm going to focus on here. Now, talking about how to persuade people in public speaking, okay? There's one good format that really helps with this, okay? And this format has 3 parts, okay? Like a sort of A, B, and a C. Part A, to start off, you give an example, okay? So you give an illustrative example, a personal experience that has some kind of lesson or moral that you'll never forget, okay? That's a good example of something, right? So you lead with this, a concrete example. The second part, part B, is you make your point. Okay, you've given an example. Now you make your point. And the point is going to be something along the lines of what should they do? And you need to be very specific. Okay, so you start off with an example, then you make your point, what they should do, be very specific. And then the third part of this format, part C, is the reason behind what should they do. Okay, what's the benefit to them, your audience? Okay, like in the example. Okay, so that's the format that's most commonly used to do this when you're trying to persuade somebody in a talk. Give an example, then make your point, and then give the reason. Okay, now some general tips here for the content of what you're going to say is never say or indicate to your audience that you're wrong. Okay? People do not like being told you're wrong. Okay, that's something. If you want people to come with you and be able to convince them of something and have them regard you as an authority or someone they should listen to, don't tell them that they're wrong. Okay, even if they are wrong, don't tell them that. Okay, that's not going to work. Get them to agree. Get them to say yes. This is something that Dale Carnegie talks a lot about in a lot of his books. Get the other person to say yes. Say something that they agree with. And then say another thing that they agree with. And so on. Okay, so there's a pattern of them agreeing with you. This is the beginning of sort of leading them to the place you want them to be. Okay, be enthusiastic. Say things that you believe wholeheartedly. Okay, this is very important. You're going to have to evangelize about the thing you're trying to persuade them of. Okay, so enthusiasm goes a long way. Just reading a very dry speech in a very disconnected way is really not going to cut it, basically, for a lot of people. Okay, and use what they already believe as an argument for your point. Okay, that's something that's very effective. So these are things that are going to help you to determine what to say, okay, in the content. Now, if we want to get into that point a little bit deeper, when I said, use what they already believe as an argument for your point, you can find common ground, okay? Go up a level from the specific topic that you're talking about. Go up a level, higher level, and find common ground between what you're talking about and what the audience already understands to be true and agrees with, okay? Give an example of theirs, okay, to show that it isn't just flattery, okay? And show how your point reinforces theirs. Okay, these can all be ways of doing that. So those are general tips for how to persuade people when you're public speaking, okay? And I don't know, I would go as far as to say that I think a lot of public speaking, to some degree, you're always trying to persuade someone. Even if you're just trying to persuade them that what you're saying is true, right? And not have them challenge you or not believe you, things like this, right? So you're always going to be doing this in some form or another. Now, some other ideas to throw out here to do with the content, just to wrap this up, is something that can be very effective, and this is what I've used a lot, is not to give an introduction, not to give certainly a very lengthy introduction. You guys are listening to me on YouTube. Now, a lot of YouTubers do this, where they'll give you a very lengthy introduction. They'll talk to you about what they're going to talk to you about. Okay, first I'm going to say this, then I'm going to talk about that, then I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about that. And for most people, that's extremely boring. It really is. It's a huge turnoff right before the speech really gets going. So already you're kind of losing your audience before you've really said anything concrete. Okay, so something that can be very effective is to just jump right in. Don't have an introduction. Okay, I try and do this in a lot of my scripted videos. Okay, I don't start by saying, hello, it's good to meet you, and, I hope you like my channel, and, today we're going to talk about this, and first I'm going to talk about that, then that, then that, and then I'm going to tie it all together by doing this, like, share, subscribe, join, buy my course, blah, blah, blah. I try not to do all that because that's a huge turnoff to people before you've even said anything, before you've even got to the point of your talk. Okay. So just jump right in. Now, what's effective is you can jump right in to an example. Okay. So if you have an illustrative example that you're going to be using in your argument, in your talk, a good thing is to place that right at the beginning. And you open with that. It's like a cold open into an example, okay? You can talk about it without saying what it is, okay? Keep people in suspense about what your point is or what the theory is. Give them an example, keep them in suspense, and then reveal your point or reveal the topic, okay? That can also be very effective, okay? So these are some ideas that can help you to determine what to say. If you are planning a talk, presumably something more than 2 or 3 minutes, you're planning a half-hour talk, or you're planning a very persuasive argument. These can be tips that really help you to do that. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. In the next episode, we're going to be covering how to actually deliver this. So I hope you will tune in for that. Thank you very much for your attention. You guys are awesome. I hope to see you and hear you on the next episode. Take care.